Hey, what's up guys? It's Maz here, back at you with another video. Sorry for not being here last week. I had a lot of stuff going on with school, but I'm back this week and I got a lot of content coming at y'all, spanning from football to boxing. So don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and most importantly, the notification button so you don't miss any of those videos. But let's get into this week 9 recap. The first game we got this week is Oregon versus Utah. Oregon ended up winning this game 35-6 in an absolute dismantling of Utah. And the main thing I took away from this game is that Bo Nix is an absolute Heisman candidate and that he hasn't been getting enough credit or praise for what he's been doing this year. Even though they lost to Washington, he's led his team to an 8-1 record and has looked fantastic along the way. Many of you won't believe me when I say this, but listen to me when I say that Oregon is going to be in the college football playoff this year. Even though they have a loss to Washington, I think they will avenge that loss in the Pac-12 championship, and I think they will get there along with Georgia, Michigan, and Florida State. And on the other side of the ball, Utah desperately needs Cam Rising back. Even though they most likely won't get him back this year due to his knee, they probably would only have one loss this year if he was able to play. And especially this game, it was very hard on their defense with Barnes throwing 2 picks and not having any offensive production. And for this game, my player of the game is obviously Bo Nix. He had 248 passing yards and 3 touchdowns to lead the Ducks to a victory. My second game of the week is Kansas versus Oklahoma. Kansas ended up pulling out this game 38-33 in a shocking upset victory. Even though Kansas won this game, they continue to play without Jalen Daniels, but a victory is a victory, and they did it with Jason Bean, who had a very tough and gritty performance. Kansas's run game and defense won them this game, accounting for 4 total touchdowns. On the other side of the ball, this is a very disappointing loss for Oklahoma, and I feel like they could have done more to win this game, especially throw the ball more. Dillon Gabriel only threw the ball 19 times, and most of them were at the very end of the game, so I think they could have mixed it up and thrown the ball more instead of just running the ball almost every play. My player of the game is Kansas's defense. They forced 3 turnovers and had a touchdown on defense. The next game we got this week is Georgia versus Florida. Georgia won this game 43-20 in an absolute destruction. After the first drive, I thought this was going to be an interesting game when Florida went down and scored. But after that, Georgia scored 36 unanswered, and they looked just as dangerous as last year where they won the national championship. This game proves that Georgia is fine without Brock Bowers. Obviously, they would love to have him back, and it would make them a better team. But everyone saying that Georgia is just Brock Bowers is ridiculous. They have a good run game, a great defense, and Carson Beck continues to improve. If Carson Beck continues to play games like this, I think Georgia is absolutely the favorite to win the title, and he keeps on getting better game by game, and I can't wait to see how he finishes out the season. My player of the game is Carson Beck with 315 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. A quick side note about Clemson, they lost this week to the NC State Wolfpack, and in my opinion, Dabo Swinney needs to adjust his coaching if he wants any chance of Clemson being the same Clemson from 5 years ago, and he needs to go to the portal this offseason. Otherwise, I don't see any reason to keep him around. Obviously, he's a national championship winner, and he obviously has that coaching ability, but this is a new time, and it's the transfer portal, and he needs to go into it, or else he should just find another job. The next and weirdest game this week is UCLA versus Colorado. UCLA won this game 28-16. And before we get into the game, I just wanted to talk about the locker room fiasco and how the Colorado players got their jewelry stolen from the locker room. I think it's ridiculous that people are blaming them for this and that they flaunt their jewelry and they shouldn't do that, and that's the reason why it got stolen. Come on guys, they're people and they just got their stuff stolen. It's ridiculous. But also Deion saying that the Rose Bowl and that stadium should pay for it because they make so much money, I also think is ridiculous. But I think we should have Colorado's back in this situation where they got their stuff stolen. Now getting into the game, Colorado's defense did a great job, especially in the first half. In this game, they forced 4 total turnovers, which definitely shaked up UCLA's game plan and made them adjust, but they played well enough for them to win this game, and the offense let them down. After watching this game, it becomes even more apparent that Colorado's biggest weakness is their offensive line, and that they need to get more offensive linemen next year if they want to have any chance of competing for the Pac-12. And not even just the offensive line, it's just the line of scrimmage in general. They also need to shore up that defensive line if they want to have any chance of competing. My player of the game is Ethan Gabbers. He had 300 total yards and 2 touchdowns, And other than the pick he threw in the first quarter, he played a very clean game, and it won it for the UCLA Bruins. The next game we got this week is Tennessee versus Kentucky. Tennessee won this game 33-27. The main story of this game is Tennessee getting back on track, getting a road win over a solid Kentucky team will give them momentum going into the next few games. Both Tennessee's and Kentucky's offenses performed well, with Tennessee having over 253 rushing yards and 228 passing yards, and Kentucky's Devin Leary going off finally this year, finally showing why he's the #1 transfer portal quarterback, even after he hasn't shown that the last couple games. But he finally showed up and made it an interesting game. My player of the game is Joe Milton. He was 18 of 21 throwing the ball and had 228 passing yards and played a very clean game in a rough road environment. Another quick side note this week, USC pulls out another very close win, and if the ball bounced the other way in 2 of these wins that they had this year, they'd most likely be 5-4. And that just shows that they're a shell of last year's team, which last year's team, their offense was firing on all cylinders, and their defense, even though they gave up quite a bit of yards, they were able to force a lot of turnovers, forcing the most turnovers in the country. And I don't think they will get anywhere close to what last year's team did. The last game this week is Arizona versus Oregon State, where Arizona pulled out a 27-24 victory. Before we get into the game, I just want to take some time to give some attention to Noah Fafita. He's a redshirt freshman, and he's led this Arizona team. Not even just this victory, but also playing USC close and having an overall good season so far. So I just want to give a quick round of applause for Noah Fafita. And for Oregon State, DJ Uiagalelei definitely took a step back this week. He barely had over 50% completion percentage, and I wouldn't say that he lost in the game, but he definitely didn't give him a chance to win, and needs to play better if they want to have any chance of moving forward in the Pac-12. Last but not least, Arizona is a dangerous team in the Pac-12, and look for them to have another upset before the year is done. My player of the game is obviously Noah Fafita. He had 275 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. And to end off the video, I'm gonna have a quick lightning round just to get to a couple of the games that I wasn't able to get to with the recaps. But first, we got A&M gets a much needed win over the Gamecocks. Even though A&M won this game, I still think Jimbo needs to be fired. I think he's already made his bed, and I think he might as well lay in it. I think they'll keep him around for the rest of the year, but at the end of the year, I would not be surprised if they fire him. Next up, Auburn gets a huge win over Mississippi State. Their offense looked great in the first half, using tempo and speed to break down the Mississippi State defense. But in the second half, they kind of slowed it down and tried to manage the game a little bit and took out all the aggressiveness that they had in the first half, which kind of lulled them to sleep a little bit on offense, but they got the win, and I wouldn't be surprised if they went out going into the Iron Bowl, making the Iron Bowl a very fun game to watch. Next up is Duke. I don't think Riley Leonard is fully healed from his ankle injury from a couple weeks ago against Notre Dame, and it definitely showed in the Louisville game, and I think they need to rest him for the rest of the year just to save him, because he is a tremendous prospect at quarterback. And just to win a couple games and continue their season, I think they definitely need to rest him. And to end off the video, North Carolina drops another one because of their defense. Their defense gave up 635 yards to Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech looks like a very fun team to watch. The Yellow Jackets had over 700 yards on offense, and look out for the Yellow Jackets. They could have even more upsets this year. That's it for the video. Let me know what y'all thought down below in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and put notifications on so y'all don't miss another video. But that's it, and I'll see y'all.